But yeah, we got a lot to get to tonight, so let's just get right to it. So we do have Bitcoin dipping a little bit today, below 61K now. Actually, ooh boy, it is funny whenever you're like in a more volatile asset like Pulse Chain and the things within it, and then you just see like people absolutely going ape shit on Twitter over Bitcoin with a well, I mean, over the last 24 hours, it's not even a 1% drop. But anyway, over the last week or so, about a 4% drop for Bitcoin. It's below 61K. ETH now tumbling down, still looking like dog crap against BTC, but it's gotten a little bit better over the last week. It's at 2350 roughly right now. In recent days, it's really come down. It's 8% down over the last week. And of course, we always talk about Ethereum, and we want to see Ethereum do well, not just Pulse Chain. If you are in altcoins, which if you're watching this stream, you're probably overwhelming majority in altcoins and looking into DeFi things and things like that. You do want Ethereum to do well. I mean, it's kind of the anchor of Bitcoin's the anchor of crypto, and then Ethereum's the anchor of the altcoins as well. So yeah, what are you seeing right now, Ewok? I mean, we're 2 weeks off. How soon we forget, and narratives and things change so quickly, but we're 2 weeks off from the Fed cutting rates by 50 basis points. They're going to have another meeting right after the election in November, where many are saying that there's going to be another 25 or 50 or God knows what. But we've seen a good reaction in markets. We've seen the S&P 500 make new all-time highs. We've seen Pulse Chain, more importantly, pumping. We've seen crypto in general mostly pumping since then. So what do you make of what we're seeing with the main market right now and how we've kind of reacted off those rate cuts here?
Well, it does look like the S&P is turning. I know we did make a new high back there on, I guess it was September 30th. But since then, it did take a little bit of a tumble. I mean, not a whole lot, but when you're dropping 50 points or $50 in a day, that's kind of somewhat sizable for the S&P. Right. You have another kind of trying to be a green candle here, but it's not much. Just a little bit more, and I think it turns red. So that's turning around. You've got your Ethereum ratio against Bitcoin down to 0.038, 0.039 or so. That's also looking bearish. So the main coins, Bitcoin has fallen pretty substantially in the last even three days. Gone from 66 all the way down to 60. So, you're going to have these corrections as the market adjusts. I think this is something to do, it is playing off of that decrease in interest rates. Short term, it wasn't. I think the 25 points were baked in. I don't think the 50 were. So I think this is kind of the natural reaction that you're seeing now. Where things finally even out a little bit. I think it'll bottom off of this, this moving average probably, which it somewhat did and started to bounce. So I don't look for too big of a pullback here in the Bitcoin market. And, when Bitcoin drops, Ethereum, because it's tied so heavily to the liquidity, it does as well. So that's kind of what we're seeing when one falls, most of them do as well. So I think that's the story of the market right now. But all in all, we talk about it fairly often. When you see a nice run up, you do get those little pullbacks. You can put the Fibonacci's on, and it usually almost always stops with a level at some point. And I didn't turn it on either way. But that's usually how they work out. It'll run up and then it'll pull back at the 0.68 or whatever it is level and retest that and then take off again. So these aren't necessarily a bad thing. It's just a slight market correction, I believe.
I think so too, and it's just another reminder that what are you playing for? I mean, we can talk about it. It does still suck where ETH is at right now. People are dunking on ETH left and right, blah blah blah. And I think that this ratio is likely going to be the low where we've kind of hung out at here. But it's what are you playing for? It still is October 2024. I mean, we still are talking about, ever since anybody that's had knowledge of a Bitcoin 4-year cycle and had a general idea of it, I mean, you at the very, very least are playing at least until midway through next year. I mean, if not late next year, if not, we're seeing increased talk because so many people think the regular exact 4-year cycle is going to happen. We are seeing increased talk of what Axis Alive has talked about on here a lot. I've been seeing Sami post about it more and more because there's so many, like the overwhelming consensus now is like, okay, same thing as always, 2025, blow off top, late year, whatever. More and more, it's like, well, what if it doesn't? Like, what if it's ranging in like 70 to 100, like 100 all year long? We don't get over 200K BTC or something like that. And we do just have people get flushed out in 2025 at some point. People take profits, think it's over, and then 2026 we just get like this godsmack ending, which would be freaking. I mean, it'd be optimal. It would literally be like the best thing ever. Like, yeah, maybe you'd have to wait a little bit more, but I mean, it's been pretty bad the last 3 years. I think you can make it another few months into 2026 if that is what happens. It would throw a lot of people off guard. But I'm intrigued by that idea. And again, we're at the point where everybody thinks the normal 4-year cycle is just repeating here. And I mean, I understand why they are, but remember earlier this year, we had Bitcoin pumping all through the first half of this year, and everyone was like, oh, left translated cycle. Everybody's totally ditched that idea now, of course. So